I remember the old Atlanta, home of Freaknik, Maddox Park on Sunday, Club 559, the Hardys on the corner of Cascade and Donnelly, Q Time in the West End, and my high school sweetheart that just happened to reside at Hart and Sylvan Road. From him, I couldn't hide. My high school reigned supreme by the name of Benjamin E. Mays, the home of Mr. Fisher with no shirt and no tie, home of the Goody Mo B, and yes, T-Mo Goody giving us that side eye. Club Nicky's on Stewart Avenue, the old Techwood Homes, Thomasville, Eastlake Meadows was all the hype. Also the places where the crackheads held their first crack pipe. Headland and Delowe, that cradled the city of Atlanta, and East Point just so, to the AU Center before the Walmart show. The bubbling brown sugars that held Morris Brown so tight, to the old Georgia Dome that went down without a fight. Do you remember the Magic Johnson Theater that made Greenbrier the spot? Or the teen club, My Brother's Keeper, that turned our nights hot? For all those, we remember Atlanta, the home of many Black Greeks. And we can't forget that every dance move ended with yeet. Yes, the old Atlanta, where you went to grandma's house with no AC, that's been in the family since it was handed down to your favorite auntie. We will still have Atlanta, but will it be the same? Will we remember it so fine, or will it thrive, or be killed with the introduction of the new Atlanta Beltline?
It's changed a lot, in my neighborhood since, in the past 20 years. There's a lot of new construction. I remember before the Cascades was built, I remember before the Kroger and all that stuff was built. I used to play in that land over there. So, this was a super nice middle class area. All this area around here was.
I bought this property because I really like the attributes of this neighborhood. I like the fact that I am in close proximity to public transportation. The MARTA station is several blocks away. I like the fact that the AU Center is very close. I'm very interested in attending special events at my alma mater. When I bought the house, I really didn't know very much about the Beltline. I certainly had done research to better understand what's going on in the community, and I had seen information about the Beltline. But prior to buying the house and prior to moving to Atlanta, I didn't understand the significance that the Beltline will have on the neighborhood.
Something very significant to Atlanta. Being the university center, it's the place where, I don't know if there's not another city where there's a group of historically Black colleges together in this one area, in this type of community together, all historically Black. So I think in terms of the foundation, it really set the precedence in terms of how I looked at college, what I viewed in terms of my career aspirations. It's right here next to, close to underground Atlanta, downtown Atlanta. So I think that says something, that the mecca of historically Black college and Black education is near downtown Atlanta. So growing up, I always knew that I wanted to come to school here. I actually did go to Morris Brown College, and it just meant a lot to me going to a school in my city that was historically Black. How do I feel the area will change 5 to 10 years from now with the Beltline? I think really there's an opportunity here for us to preserve the culture or preserve the area. A lot of people will move into this neighborhood, much like we've never seen before, but I think there's an opportunity there to potentially have more funding and more businesses in the area that could really grow the city. So I think in the next 5 to 10 years, especially with the Beltline, it's really a chance to let people know how beautiful the city is and to show them parts of the city that they have not been before familiar with.
The Beltline is a 22-mile loop of old railroads that circle downtown and midtown Atlanta that we are transforming into a transit greenway with streetcar type transit and a multi-use trail. It connects 45 neighborhoods, about 100,000 people currently within walking distance. And in addition to the reuse of the railroad itself for this new corridor for transportation, we're working on also, along with that comes the redevelopment of all the old industrial land that follows these old freight railroads. So it's about 4,000 acres of land being repurposed for mixed income, medium density redevelopment right along a new transit line and trail. The cool thing about the Beltline is that it connects 45 different neighborhoods throughout the city, and it's along this flat railroad track, but the city's really hilly. And so as you go around the city, you experience the different communities in different ways. Some of them have a lot of redevelopment potential. Some of them have a lot of back doors, backyards that sort of back up to the corridor, very backyard feeling with lots of tree canopy. We would not be building the Beltline if it weren't for neighborhoods and the people of Atlanta. It was the people of Atlanta that fell in love with this idea and believed in it before anybody else. We built a grassroots movement from the summer of 2001 through the summer of 2004, and it was only because people from all neighborhoods, from all walks of life, really fought for, believed in, wrote letters to support and went to meetings. People of Atlanta made this project happen, and it was only after that movement that they got the attention of elected officials and the regional planners and everybody else that it takes to pull this off. And you look at the reason we're able to pull off something that's so big and ambitious and expensive is that the people expect their leaders to do it, and so that's the only reason they're willing to do that.
Atlanta Beltline Inc. is building the Beltline. The Beltline Partnership is really an extension of Friends of the Beltline, and that entity advocates for the Beltline. We are the entity of the partnership that really wants to be sure that as the Beltline is being built, it is being built with the vision that those grassroots folk had in mind when they came to the city and said, make this a priority, help our city to grow in this way. So our job really is to uphold those values and those dreams that were the birth from that group. As we sit here right now, we are sitting in Grant Park. And I think that when you look at what's happened thus far with the Atlanta Beltline, and you have to pay attention because the first real area that we developed along the Beltline was over on the east side. But as we sit here today in Grant Park and we can look at the undeveloped portion of the Beltline here on the southeast side, moving over to the west side, we see that there's huge potential and huge opportunity here for the Beltline to be built out. The difference in this side of town is this is truly neighborhoods. So this is not an area where you are kind of more downtown with the East Side Trail. You are really traversing through neighborhoods and communities here in Grant Park as well as on the west side. So I believe the development is going to look a little different. I think it's going to be more about families and integrating in families and communities, how it's built. And I hope that we will hold true to that. I think there will be some businesses that's developed around here, but I also believe that we're going to see, or I hope that we will see more community neighborhood-friendly types of developments along here. Because people were concerned about being able to live in their communities once the development occurred. They were concerned that the new development might drive up taxes or their opportunities to be able to stay in their communities. So we began at the Beltline Partnership to work on ways in which to mitigate displacement, because we knew that it was a real potential of happening. At the same time that we were working on the displacement issue, Atlanta Beltline Inc. was working and is mandated through the TAD to create an affordable housing trust fund. That affordable housing trust fund is supposed to be funded by 15% of every bond issuance that takes place. And there's a commitment by the Atlanta Beltline to create 5,600 affordable housing units along the Atlanta Beltline during the life of this project. One of the things that we wanted to see through our work that we were doing around displacement was to create not just only 5,600 affordable housing units, but 5,600 permanently affordable housing units, because we did not want to see what had happened at Atlantic Station, where you build affordable housing, and after the life of the term of whatever the increment or whatever the tax deal you use, it turns over to market rate. We didn't want to see that happen. We wanted to see the properties remain affordable for perpetuity, such that people who are at middle income or might be just a little bit below in middle income could afford to live in these communities.
My brother and my mother actually lives in the community, and I actually help take care of the 85-year-old mother. No, the Beltline was not a factor. Had no idea that the Beltline was here. Didn't even really know that much about the construction, even though it was going on at that time. But the Beltline has had a lot of impact of the increase that has come in this area. This is a low traffic area, and you can tell the difference since the Beltline has been here. In the next 5 years, I think this is going to be a great area for small businesses, people that want to continue to stay into the community. I would think that because of the connection of the Beltline, that this is going to connect a lot of people, and we're going to have the opportunity to see what each area actually has to offer.
we've been saying for some time is that the health of the Beltline is essential to the health of Atlanta and essential to the Atlanta School Board.
Shake up for the Beltline Partnership Board today. 2 prominent members have resigned. And Channel 2 Sophia Choi live on the Beltline in Northeast Atlanta, where one of the men says low-income families basically funded their own displacement.
Justin, walkability and livability are 2 key components out here on the Atlanta Beltline. But some say another key component is getting left behind, and that's inclusivity. Ryan Gravel came up with the idea for Atlanta's Beltline and envisioned it to include everyone. But the lack of affordable housing spurred him to resign from the Beltline Partnership Board. He hopes it's a wake-up call for the board to move faster to make the Beltline more equitable.
But also a wake-up call to people. I mean, you know, we built this Beltline because people demanded it. And I think that if the people of Atlanta will also demand that we address affordability, that they'll speak up, that I think that we'll do it.
Nathaniel Smith also resigned from the board. He says much of the Beltline money was linked to a diverse tax base. So essentially, he says, lower income families getting pushed out funded their own displacement. Beltline users we spoke to say that's not fair.
And I don't want to displace people who have lived here for a long time and can't maybe afford to go elsewhere so that I have access to something like this.
The Beltline Partnership Board sent me this statement saying in part, while disappointed that Ryan and Nathaniel did not feel they could advocate for these critical issues as members of the Atlanta Beltline Partnership Board, we remain committed to continuing to work with them to promote solutions that deliver the full, inclusive vision of the Atlanta Beltline to all of the communities it connects.
The people of Atlanta really want something that is inclusive. And if this sort of is a spark to get people involved in the project again and get them to speak up, you know, that's worth all of any anguish or disappointment that I might have.
Now, Gravel says he wants to make it clear he is not bashing the Beltline or the board. He's just frustrated that affordable housing along the Beltline isn't happening faster.